What is up, class? I'm going to show you, I'm going to go and nest these real quick. These layers are just for color, so you can just ignore them for now. But anyways, once you have your clip, you want to go ahead and drag it onto your timeline. You want to go to this captions and graphics panel on the right. So this is where you usually work if you're working with text. This is where we're going to be at today. You could adjust it how you'd like it. On the right, there's some stuff like presets. We're not going to use those for this class. We're going to use the type tool. And then you're just going to draw a box. And this is going to be like your working box where you're able to type text. So keep that in mind. You could also move it inside the box as well. So you're not limited to just the entire box area. You can move it to the center like this. I always usually center them. Makes it easier. And here's all the adjustments. You could adjust the size, font, color, background, stroke. I would definitely change the font. Usually the default font looks kind of cheap, I would say. So you can find a good font. You could also install fonts if you want. But yeah, just find a good font. And then you can go ahead and start typing whatever you want. I took this drone video at Girl Scout Mountain, so that's what we're going to put here. I'm just moving that up because I'm going to write another title right below it. I'm going to try to make it the same length. Girl Scout and then Mountain. I always center these as well. I mean, it's up to you guys, but I think it looks better centered. And then see how it's not as long? We're going to add some spacing. So we're going to go to this VA, and once the arrow is left to right, you bold that. So it's this one right here, I think on the far left. So yep, it's this one on the far left. So this was going to space out your words further. Gives it that monumental intro feeling, kind of. So I'm going to just space them out. I think I'm going to make this smaller, actually. And keep in mind, too, whenever you make adjustments after you've already typed, you have to highlight the text. Otherwise, it won't adjust it. So highlight the text and make your adjustments. And yeah, all these other settings you can play with. You can change the color of the text. I find these are the most common ones I use, the ones I just showed you. I don't really stray off of that as much. Positioning, you could position it by hand or by numbers, depending on what you like. Numbers are a little more accurate. And I think this works pretty well. Again, you have to find where you want the clip or the title to start and where you want the title to end. So keep that in mind. I'm going to have it begin right there probably. Now that looked okay. I mean, it really depends what you want. That would have passed, I guess, depending on who the person you're working for was and if they cared or not. We're going to spice it up. We're going to add a Gaussian blur. And this is going to help us get that blur in feeling. Kind of like you can't see and then you clean your glasses and then now you can see. Something like that. This is the little keyframe tool. You want to click that to start the keyframe whenever you want. But since we want it to gradually blur in, we're going to start it with like a blur. So you're going to start it at, say, 25. Let's go up a little more. You're gonna start the blur, and then you're gonna go a few frames over, maybe like 10 frames, and then set the blur to 0 with the keyframe. I think I forgot to set a keyframe here. Hold on. Set keyframe. There you go. You get a little diamond popped up right there. Then move to wherever you want, and then set keyframe again. And then I'm just going to click this number and put it back to 0. So now it should blur in. So it's a pretty cool effect. Really depends on what you want, but the blur in effect is, I would say, definitely used a lot, as well as like a fade in. We'll probably do that next. But now we're going to work on the blur out, and it's kind of just reverse. So what you just did, you started it with the blur, you're gonna kind of end it with the blur. So you could set another keyframe to 0, and then you're gonna set the last keyframe at the very end to like 50 again if you want. Or you could actually just set a keyframe at the end too, I think. Let's see. So 50 to 0, and then 0 to 50. That kind of worked. It didn't look super smooth though. Could be smoother. And these keyframes aren't set in stone too. Like you could grab that little diamond and move it wherever you want. It's literally just playing with it to see how smooth you could get it. If it doesn't feel natural to like your eye, it's not gonna look natural for the most part. So get it as smooth as you could like possibly can. I guess just as smooth as you can, and it should be pretty solid. That works pretty well. So now we're going to do a fade in. So we're going to start with the opacity. And since it's a fade in, you're going to want to put a 0 opacity keyframe somewhere, and then 100% opacity keyframe somewhere. So that way it goes from 0 to 100, 0 being it's not visible, 100 being it's visible. So we're going to do that here. 0 to 100. Oh, there you go, 0 to 100. Fades in. And then to get that fade out, you're just going to reverse it. So it's going to be 2 more keyframes. It's going to be 100 to 0. And then depending on how far or how fast you want that fade in / out feeling is dependent on your keyframe distance. So if you find out your fade in / out is taking too long, shorten the distance between the 2 keyframes. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. Let's see how this looks. Oh, it looked pretty smooth. So that was a Gaussian blur. So a blur in / out with a fade in / out. So it looks pretty smooth there. All right, we'll go to the next one.